Fresh fragments of silicon can be found after the New Year's ball drops.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon 2025 edition. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me as always are Petty and Gallix. Let us get to the news. Let's see how everyone's holidays went. Gallix, why don't you start us off?
My holidays were pretty low-key. We had my sister and her family up for around Christmas, and then we went down to family Christmas a bit before New Year's. And then New Year's was pretty normal. Not a whole lot going on. It's New Year's Eve is one of my friend's birthdays, so we hung out a bit, but none of us is really at the age for going out and having anything super raucous happen or anything. So,
I mean, Gallix, were you ever at that age?
No, but now I would have problems if I did, instead of just being fine but too nervous to actually try it.
Fair enough.
And more to the point, like several years ago when we were doing it, we like played Cards Against Humanity and did a puzzle box, one of those mystery games.
Escape room?
Not literally that, but like the things where you get like a pack of clues or something, and then you have to.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of those. Yeah,
and there was a lot more drinking and stuff. Whereas this time we pretty much just went out for dinner and then hung out for a while. So yeah, pretty low key. We had a white Christmas, but after that, it mostly melted after some rain. It's been cold, but that's about it. So yeah, pretty generally low friction, I guess. No major Christmas presents to speak of, except for my parents are gonna pay for me getting some window rain guards for my car so that I can leave the windows partly open in the summer. Because that way, hopefully, it'll be less baking when there's chance of rain. Video game wise, I decided starting around Christmas I was going to try and play through Ebenezer and the Invisible World, since I didn't get around to much of that last year. I think I'm more than halfway through, but I haven't been playing as many video games, and currently getting in some Splatoon 3 practice because it is Frosty Fest 2 this weekend. It's what makes you happiest, money, experiences, or presents, and I was having a really hard time choosing, so I chose presents because most of the people that I know that are playing were on that team. And I think that's about all I got.
All right, Petty.
Oh God, where do I start?
I think you know where to start. That begins with snow.
Yeah. For those of you who've been keeping track of weather in the United States, I got dumped on by the polar vortex. We got over 16 inches of snow and sub-zero wind chills.
If you want to send about 4 inches this way, that would be fine.
You can have all of it, brother. So yeah, I am still in a considerable amount of pain because the cold causes the nerve issues for my cerebral palsy to act up, and I had to go shovel snow.
Because you're still the best choice your family has for that?
My dad was stuck in the big city because he works down there, and the highway was closed for 2 days. Like it was literally bad enough they had to shut down I-29. And for those of you who don't know about, that's probably one of the bigger interstates, in the Midwest. So that shut down for 2 days caused problems. Luckily, day before yesterday, we were able to get somebody off Facebook because we have some local groups we're part of, and someone was able to help dig out the rest of what my sister and I couldn't. Because, God, that sucked. Well, because we also had to dig my mom's car free because she decided, instead of parking up more towards the front where it's easier to bust her out, she parked more back. So she had what was the plows plowed up, dumped in front of her car instead of, on it to be easily moved. So that was fun. Wait, no, it wasn't. That was awful. But yeah,
So
we've cut out 2 parking spots for my parents' vehicles so they can get to and from the house. We almost had an incident. There is a trailer park area across the street. There's a hill that goes up to it. Somebody almost skidded into my mom's car, parked, so it would have been their fault. But luckily they missed, and nobody was hurt. It was just they got the hell scared out of them. I'm just glad my mom's car is where it is, because there's another hill that goes down and it goes straight into a tree. And it's steep enough, brakes won't stop you if it's the hill snowy or icy. You're just going down, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Best case, you slide into the garage and slow down. Worst case, you're hitting a tree at whatever speed you were going at. So that's fun.
right.
So yeah, mostly now we've been just trying our best to keep the house as warm as we can to not have pipes burst. Because for those of you who don't know, whoever designed this house put a lot of the plumbing on the outer walls with not much insulation. So pipe freezing is a very big problem here. And then we're going to have, after we are able to clear a path over to the garage, make our way in there, and hopefully the plumbing repair we had to do last winter, early spring is holding, because or else we won't be able to fill the pool this summer. So it's just been a whole lot of cold and a whole lot of suck. As far as Christmas stuff, I got some, the clothing you usually get when you become older. I got the last Encyclopedia Eorzea for Final Fantasy XIV. It's basically a lore book. This one's about the other realms of 14. So that's been interesting to flip through. I got myself a couple things. I got a new Razer Kishi controller for my phone that I've been using to play the Digimon World 3 for grinding. I can just kind of pull that out and grind on my phone instead of just having to be home. So that does help considerably, because we are quite a significant way through there. It may be like 2 or 3 more sessions and we may be done with World 3 unless I get lost again. You laugh. Gullix knows.
I mean, he's usually there with you.
Mm-hmm. I also decided I guess kind of a New Year's-ish resolution, I'm going to deal with my card bulk from Digimon. more to like put it away, not get rid of it. I got one of those massive cardboard like drawer boxes for like organizing cards. So I've been going through my big piles and sorting them out. So like if I need something, or like somebody at the locals like, I need something from set whatever, just grab its drawer and take it with us. Just to help keep my cards from getting everywhere, because it holds like 50,000 cards. So I should be, hopefully good to not, overflow it anytime soon, or else I have a problem. As far as gaming, I did get Hades from Golux, which I do need to see about firing up at some point. And then also been, as I mentioned, grinding in Digimon. And I also ended up getting myself Card Shop Simulator because, hey, cards. Also been trying to get into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Gonna be honest, like full stop, I don't know why that was a Game of the Year candidate other than the FF7 name on it. It is...
That's probably about 80% of it. I've heard that it's very busy.
It's very much like the busy work of an MMO without anybody to talk to. It is not a good game. Like, I'm pretty sure if they didn't have FF7 on it, it probably would have done worse than Babylon's Fall.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, Babylon's Fall was just, that was a round peg put into a square hole situation. It's like, let's get Platinum Games to do a live service game. What could go right?
I mean, I guess. I just know it definitely would not have been in Game of the Year category.
Possibly. But even if it didn't, its lunch seems to have been eaten by Metaphor Refantasio.
Yeah, I'm kind of wishing I would have got that instead of 7. Oh, well, I can always get it on sale later.
Well, do you have the first remake?
Yeah, I have that and the DLC on PS5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm gonna be honest, this could probably be a topic for another time, but real simple, the remake should have been maybe 1 or 2 games at most.
Probably, but
Oh, oops, sorry. I thought I was muted.
I
think they were trying to make a statement about Final Fantasy VII.
About how they're milking it till it bleeds?
If they were doing that...
I don't know exactly. And again, a lot of it will depend on how they manage to finish it, if they do. But...
I mean, the third installment's being worked on right now, so it's going to get finished.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be moving this to a topic of discussion at some point, aren't we?
Probably, maybe when the whole thing comes out.
Yeah, or at least announced.
Anyway,
all right.
So, anything else?
I'm going to try and go to the card shop this weekend, hopefully play Digimon and not get COVID again. I will be wearing a mask. You joke, but last time I went to the card shop, I ended up getting COVID, so...
Nobody was joking about that.
It sounded like you were laughing for a second, or at least chuckling.
No, I was guffawing at the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully that goes fine, and you don't hear from me like, guys, I'm fucking dying.
Right.
Either it be snow that killed me or the plague.
I'm like, yeah.
And yeah, I think that's it for me. So, next.
Well, I suppose first thing out the gates that I have to announce, It doesn't involve this program, but MSP. Mainly because, okay, Kevin got sick over the holiday. He has the flu, so he's tapped out.
Mhm.
He maybe might join us next week, but if he has the flu, we'll see. Like, um, really, the more troublesome announcement is concerned with Mac, because we just got a message from him about an hour ago, saying that once again his internet is off, and he hadn't paid the bill, so he wanted us to delay MSP for a week, which is not happening because we have a guest and they're all ready to go. And this, real talk, this is why he handed us the keys to run the program in the first place.
He said we should delay it unless the guest has made arrangements to be here, as if that's rare.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sometimes we do have canceling guests, but like, I would say only about as often as we have canceling host.
Yeah. The point is, none of us felt like we could postpone things this close when, like, he's literally in our Discord asking what he needs for the broadcast.
Yeah. He's getting ready as we speak.
Yeah. So now that does, it also means that Mac might join us via mobile device. And I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what the change is going to be from him on a phone versus him on a computer.
Worse sound quality, and he can't see anything.
I get kind of wanting to be here for the first show of the year because he is our MC, but at the same time, life happens.
Especially his life. But it's like, he didn't even drop us this new, because we presume it happened a few days ago.
Yeah. Like, he posted at 8:50 this morning, my time.
So either they just turned it off and he had completely forgotten, or... Which I guess is plausible.
Either way, it doesn't reflect, once again, doesn't reflect good on him now, does it?
Mm-hmm. Especially because we haven't heard from him since just before Christmas. Or just after Christmas, rather. So, yikes.
Yeah, so, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is exasperating. But, it never is not. As far as the holidays went, fairly quiet in the sense that, not a lot of activity. Like, it's just, having... We did not have the kids around for the actual Christmas holiday. We had them the week after. So, Christmas was quiet. New Year's was more active, let's say, as it is when you have children around. But they seem to have had a good holiday season. So that's good. Personally, there was really nothing to write home about in terms of this holiday season. Though we did broadcast out on Boxing Day. So if you want to see us play, what was it, Buckshot Roulette, that's available.
Yes, Buckshot Roulette.
Yeah. And that was also sent to YouTube today.
Mm-hmm.
So it is properly archived. Let's see. As far as Christmas presents goes, Galax got me, what was it, Arzette? Which is the Zelda CDI inspired game.
Mm-hmm. I thought about getting you guys the same thing, but I was trying to get everybody I got a game for something different. So,
I mean, it was on the wish list.
Mm-hmm.
So, I haven't had, well, not so much time to dig into it as I have been playing other things. Played a bit of Wasteland 2 during the break. It wasn't what I was looking for at that particular moment in time. It's a game that I played a bit and then, put on the back burner. I'll probably, come back to it when I'm more in the mood. Now, the main game I played during the break was I Am Setsuna. The first game from the Tokyo RPG Factory, if you remember them. There's a good chance if you do remember that they existed, this was the game that they made. They made 3, but this is the one that had all the hype surrounding it. At least until the game got released and everyone thought it was pretty mediocre. And having played through a significant portion of the game, I would have to agree with them.
But it's pretty, right?
No, it isn't. Even putting aside the drabness of the fact that, it takes place in, a very wintry snow place, so it's all gray and, drab. The game looks pretty ugly. It never moved past the looking like a Unity game. And I mean that in a bad way. Its art direction is pretty blah as well. Nothing about this game ever aspires or reaches past mid-tier quality. And I think that's why this whole endeavor sank beneath the waves. It's they lived up to the factory portion of their name, as this thing felt like a product that came out of a factory versus, the innumerable 16 and 8-bit throwbacks that are out there that have a lot more handcrafted love to it. And hell, even Square Enix has engaged in other projects that evoked that era better than these things. Team Bravely comes to mind, and the 2D HD initiative. I think that's what they were trying to do with the Tokyo RPG Factory games. And that's why Octopath Traveler succeeded where these failed, among others. But I'm sure that's a topic for another day. Anyway, I think that's about all we need, all we have for the roundup portion of the broadcast. So we move on to, the year in review, since it's what we do traditionally around this time, where we reflect on what we reviewed during the past year. Which is quite a lot of stuff. As noted, we cover 4 games usually. There's the odd week where we have 3, usually due to illness or something like that. But by and large, it's 4 games, mostly reviews, some impressions, but. With that schedule, with that pacing, we're not going to remember everything we covered. That always happens. But, that being said, I do remember the first game I reviewed last year. That's MacBat 64. That was one of the low poly, 60, N64 platforming homages that Ciratico, or however you pronounce, that Italian dev, put out, the Tori developer. Except in this case, you played as a bat, and because you played as a bat, you flew as opposed to jumped. I remember it being, good if limited.
Right.
And I think that was about it. That's what it was going for. It delivered on that promise. I don't remember what Doomsday Paradise was.
I don't remember either. Gonna be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's like we're gonna have quite a few of these.
Yeah. Like my first one of the year was Sonic Superstars, and I don't know if anyone knows this, but I'm a huge Sonic fan. I thought the game was okay, but definitely the Switch port was rough.
Right, but hey, it's also somebody has mentioned Sonic Superstars in the year 2025.
Do I get a medal?
I feel like this game got pretty forgotten pretty quickly.
It did.
Like, it's not like Sonic Frontiers where people are still kind of talking about it. A couple
it didn't
years
strike
later.
fire like Mania did, like they were hoping it to being a 2D Sonic game.
Well, it wasn't complete shit either. Like Sonic Forces, Sonic 06, insert any of the bad Sonic games here.
It was a very competent game, but it was also followed up by probably a couple of the best games in the series.
Right.
It had big shoes to fill, and while it fit okay, you could definitely tell they didn't fit all the way.
Yeah.
The good parts of it were pretty decent, and the bad parts of it were like ignorable because everything involving the multiplayer was ignorable enough that it didn't really drag most of it down as much.
That being said, it's still Arzest's best game they've ever developed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
more an indictment of.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a sentence, bro.
Like, once again, they were the developers of Balan Wonder World.
Yeah.
So.
If I can find that cheap enough, I may give it a shot, but I'm not spending $30 on it.
True. Anyway, Alex, do you remember your first game of the year, Legendary Heroes?
Not at all. I barely remember them from week to week, honestly. And I feel like I get a lot of very forgettable games.
Once again, it happens.
I mean,
but
if you post a list somewhere, I can try to find the talk.
It's on the schedule.
Yeah, I am playing Splatoon 3 at the moment. Sorry, I wasn't thinking we'd be.
I mean,
for some reason, it didn't register to me.
I mean, that's.
But yeah, no, I also my friggin' history on my computer's all jacked up because I switched to Firefox a couple of weeks ago.
Right. But I do think you'll remember the next game you were playing.
Legendary Heroes doesn't ring a bell to me.
But I think you'll remember this one, Savant Ascent Remix.
Only slightly.
That's the elevator platformer that was from the Owlboy developer. Like, if nothing else, it had a very striking art style.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very, hyperkinetic spectacle fighter combat, from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, that one wasn't forgettable. One of my favorite reviews from last year, quite a few of the retro reviews, and among them was A Boy and His Blob Retro Collection. If only because I could finally vent about A Boy and His Blob. I've never particularly liked. I never played the Game Boy game. I rented the NES game.
I never played A Boy and His Blob as a kid, but for some reason, the whole jelly beans give you powers thing was a big meme with a couple of my friends when I was a kid.
And once again, if you want to hear our full thoughts on, or when we had thoughts about some of these games, go and check out the reviews in the various archive locations. Usually typing, Fragments of Silicon and the title of game will do that.
Or just type in Fragment Silicon reviews and you can literally see all of them.
Right. It's just, we don't, I don't think anyone here has been, or rather me, has been engaged enough to put it in a fucking YouTube list.
Yeah. Well, it's also because we have such high turnaround on these, we kind of don't have time.
Even if I was going to, I don't have...
Yeah. Anyway, don't,
And I don't have the keys or any idea how to do that, so...
Teddy, you reviewed Inner Dow.
Yeah, not even ringing a bell.
Fluffy Cube, for me, I want to say I vaguely remember that one, but next.
I remember I reviewed the original Rogue, which I won't say it's aged well, but it was certainly an interesting experience.
We'll get to that.
All that stuff came from.
We'll get to that when we get to that. Yeah, your next one was Toaster Ball.
I think I vaguely that's the you're doing ball games and you're playing as a toaster, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Petty, your game was 8 Colors Star Guardians.
Yeah, I don't even remember that.
Once again, this is the consequence of having to do, games in and out week after week for most weeks. But I personally do remember both games I reviewed this particular week. Impaler, that was the arena shooter that focused around impaling. It was limited, but it was fine for like a $3 game or something like that. Tried to bill itself as a boomer shooter, inexplicably so. No, like the kind of FPS this game is didn't exist in the 90s. But like the closest comparison I could think of would be more Serious Sam and Painkiller. I think I made that comparison in the actual review. But I definitely remember the other game I reviewed this, Balance. Like, if only because I remember how disorienting this piece of shit was.
Oh, God, yes, that one.
Yeah, Petty remembers, too.
One of the several games that almost made me vomit on stream.
Yep. I'm like, it's like,
I guess for the new people, I do have a little bit of motion sickness. Like, I can play some FPS games, but once it starts getting crazy, I start getting queasy.
Yeah. Anyway. Week after next, Gollix, your game was Unstoppable.
It got stopped.
Rings absolutely 0 bells.
Petty, you had Cards and Castles 2.
That was one of those deck builder ones we got, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm like...
A lot of those kind of got drowned out because I ended up playing Slay the Spire and Balatro a lot last year, like off stream.
I think this one came out this was before Balatro, though.
But like that took up a lot more of my brain space.
Those are the card games that you remember because they're memorable.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. My games that week were Hunter X Codename T. I do remember this one. It was a fairly good. I remember both Hunter X games. These underground, Dark Souls, Devil May Cry, Metroidvania type games. And this is one of them. And Creeks, this was like a creepy platformer puzzle thing. I mean, I remember them, just not all that well. Let's see. The week after that, Petty, your game was Anomaly Agent. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember that one.
Yeah. I guess in fairness, we could go and look up what these are, but it kind of belies the point of what we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Alex, your game was Shark. Like,
That really, the name rings a little bit of a bell, but I don't remember what it was about.
I remember this.
Is that one of the shark eating shark games?
Yes, it's the game that was, that people would say was based off of Feeding Frenzy, but no, Feeding Frenzy ripped off Shark. Granted, the original Intellivision version of Shark. This is a modern day remake. And indeed, I had the other Intellivision modern day remake in Astro Smash, which was Mattel's answer to Asteroids and Space Invaders. Which, if nothing else, had a fairly unique scoring system. Also, we had rear view mirror first impressions of the year. I remember this game being very, very unfinished, though apparently it's done now. Because
I was just about to ask, do we have any of our impression games that made it to release yet, or?
Well, I kept getting informed that this game has reached release date. I wasn't interested enough to do it. When do we ever go back to impressions?
Fair enough. It's one of those. It is an option, but we typically don't because turnaround. It's not. Well, it's not a knock against any of the games we have. It's just we don't have time.
Right. Gulix, this is the week you were referring to because this is when you reviewed Rogue, the original.
Yeah, which is certainly a memorable game and interesting to play to see where the whole thing came from, but also, wow, it's clunky, as expected from a, ASCII-based game.
From 1980.
Yes.
Right.
On one hand, having to equip a bow in one hand and an arrow in the other hand and then use the throw action with the arrow is awkward as fuck, but on the other hand, it's interesting that they were able to do it.
Let's see. Petty, your game was Ruin or Victory. I just remember you not liking this game a whole lot.
Yeah, it's one of those things I don't fully remember, but I vaguely remember I had a not anger, but twinge of that.
Yeah. And let's see. My games this week were Fast Beat Loop Racer GT.
I actually liked that one probably more than you did.
I remember that. I remember liking that well enough. I thought it was a 6 out of 10. Yeah, Petty, you thought it was like an 8 out of 10 or something like that.
Yeah, it was. I liked it a lot just because I like old school racing games. I felt right at home there. Honestly,
right.
If I had it installed, I'd probably be playing that right now.
Right. And the other game I had that week was Murkred. I remember this being a very artistic game of light and shadow where you pushed a ball around. And I also remember confounding my nephew with it because he doesn't know what indie art games are yet.
He'll learn.
I guess, but distressingly, he's reaching the age where he's getting into Fortnite.
Oh, no.
Because somebody got him Fortnite weaponry during the Christmas season.
Oh, no, that poor kid.
Yeah.
Was Child Services informed yet?
I mean, honestly, they should be informed that they're playing Roblox. But that's that's neither here nor there. Anyway, moving on. This week, Galax, you had Primateria.
Sorry, not one that rings a bell to me.
No.
I am going through the list and I'm seeing most of the ones I recognize are either retro ones or like visual novels or something, which doesn't speak hugely to what I was getting reviews for, I guess.
Might want to turn your Switch down a little bit.
Sorry.
I mean, well, maybe this year will provide a better crop of games for you to review, Galax. On the bright side, there we probably won't be dealing with hidden object games aplenty. Let's say more on that when we come to it.
But I almost got my relative scale of what I absolutely like and cannot stand in hidden object games, aside from the fact that they're hidden object games, which means I mostly don't like them. Written out because we did so many of them.
I'll get into it when we reach one of them. Anyway, Petty, you had RoboQuest, which I think you like.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. It was one of those fun roguelike or roguelite or FPS games.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the death system wasn't so punishing. And even in early access, I believe it was.
I think so.
Yeah, I believe it's hit official release. I just haven't had a chance to go back and look at it yet.
Right. Let's see. Speaking of early access, no. It wasn't in early access because I didn't. It doesn't have the impressions tag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because right next to it, I have Takara Card's impressions, which means that this was early access. I don't remember this at all. I do remember Chasm the Rift, though. I also remember that that review got interrupted by the power going out, or something along those lines. The ending of that review is a bit jumbled.
Right.
As far as Chasm the Rift itself, it's a curious beast. Go and watch the review for more details on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we go through it. Let's see. Galaxy, your game next was Spearmaster.
I don't even remember that one.
Nope. Like, I presume that you controlled some master who, wielded a spear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Petty, I remember your game, Despair Blood Curse. That was the third-person horror game where you had a gun axe.
Oh, God, that piece of shit.
Yeah. I remember the gun axe.
God, I wish I didn't remember that. Fuck you for making that come back to my brain. Yeah, that's probably one of my least favorite games of the year.
Yeah.
It was actively broken. And not the fun broken. This shouldn't be allowed on Steam broken.
I'm like, Steam does not have discriminating controls these days.
I'm aware. Vehemently aware.
Let's see. My games were Nullium, which I remember was some kind of puzzle game. I just get reminded that this is a thing when I look at my list of perfect games.
Oh no. It's one of those achievement bait games.
No. Like, those games are no longer remembered because those aren't listed in my Steam database anymore.
Oh yeah, because Steam lets you do that now.
Yeah. And Book of Demons. I feel like I should be remembering this, but I don't. I'm like, okay, Galax, you should remember this. Your next game in Jackie's Wacky Adventure. Like, that was the top-down adventure game.
Yeah, it had some decent ideas, but it felt very incomplete, and the dev was a little bit insulted by that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, full disclosure, that review, I would say, got us into a bit of hot water in the sense that the developer did not take kindly to the review we gave them, but it is what we, specifically Galax, arrived to.
It's very much, we do have our reviews policy spelled out. Yeah. So, if you don't like the review, sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, this may happen again because we're having the developers of Neo Harbor Rescue Squad in a few weeks.
Ooh.
Though I haven't actually given the review directly to them. That actually came from a code site. So I want to see if they, the code site people are, if the review is transferring that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because middlemen are involved here.
Yes.
My games for this week were Noxia Samina, one of the top games I played last year. This was the spooky side-scrolling game with a lot of ambition. And they're apparently doing a Ultimate Edition of this title now. And Geometry Survivor. I remember this because it was basically, what if we took Vampire Survivor and Geometry Wars and combined them together?
Some ideas are best left on the drawing board, lads.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
but it definitely was less than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I was playing through Vampire Survivor for a good bit there, and I remember this game is like, I'd rather be playing Vampire Survivor.
Yeah. Let's see. Galax, your game was Graveyard Girls, which I think was a
that was a visual novel.
Yep.
Which, again, at least the visual novels have different stories, so I remember them kind of.
Yep. And Petty, your game was Looking Up, I See Only a Ceiling.
Oh, that was another one of those visual novel ones.
Yeah.
I almost spoiled it. Yeah, no, I remember that one.
Yeah. My games were both retro titles, as I reviewed Meat Puppet, which I hated, and Tiger Heli, which I wasn't particularly impressed with, but my favorite kind of retro reviews are the ones where I can go into detailed histories. Other people don't like them so much because those tend to take an hour to get through.
Aware. Very much aware.
But, sometimes there's a lot of history to go through.
Me reaching for the cattle prod.
Shifting to the next week, Galax, your game that week was Rebounder. I remember this, if only because I remember...
Yeah, it was one of those weird, platformy, puzzly dealies where you play as, a hockey puck or something.
A ball. Like a smiley ball. I remember reviewing the original Bounder.
Mm-hmm.
It was, a Commodore 64 game, among other, I think it was...
oh, okay, yeah, this is a retro one.
Yeah.
I had it mixed up with, what was it, IO or something?
Was that the one I broke on stream?
I don't remember.
There was one of those Commodore 64 games I straight up broke to the basic screen on stream and had to force reset it.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah, Rebounder was interesting, but I mean, any game from that's that old is going to be a little bit rough.
Yeah, but I think the thing that struck me with the Bounder series is how well they held up, quite honestly.
Yeah, no, overall, I think it did hold up pretty well. In spite of all of the limitations it's fighting against, being a game that has a pretty 3D concept in a distinctly not 3D console.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Head of your game was Pop Slinger.
Yeah, I'm not remembering that one offhand.
Speaking of which, I don't remember Death of a Wish at all. Probably because all of my focus was on Lamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. Like, yeah, I'll be like, I remember. I've got complicated feelings about both the package and the review. Like, it was an excellent package. Not my proudest retro review, because I remember it being a bit unfocused.
Yeah,
That's me.
that was one of those ones I actually had to prod you to get on focus because you kept trailing off.
Well, that's part of it is because of what Jeff Minter, where he worked.
Mm-hmm.
He's a legend in the 8-bit Euro microcomputer scene, and this came up in the review. It's like, this is like the least familiar material that we could go into, because as opposed to my review of the making of Karateka, I had a history with Karateka that I could draw upon, whereas Lamasoft, I never played or heard of Attack of the Mutant Camels, for example. The first time I knew who Jeff Minter was Tempest 2000. And I didn't play Tempest 2000 because it was a goddamn Atari Jaguar game. He kept releasing games for platforms, statistically speaking, nobody ever played in North America.
Disclaimer, some people played them, but nowhere near enough to make it matter.
His games were popular in Europe, specifically the UK, because people had, Commodore 64s and ZX Spectrums and all that stuff. We, at the most, had Commodore 64s. But, once again, we weren't really going out to purchase Grid Runner, because Jeff Minter made it. That was strictly, his audience was mostly in the UK until Tempest 2000. Like, that was really the game that put him on the map in terms of North America.
Right.
It seems it seems like a few people in the magazine press knew who he was, because that's where I kept hearing the name Jeff Minter, the developer of Attack of the Mutant Camels and so on. Like, Attack of the Mutant Camels came up and the most. The point is, it's just not material I was familiar with, and not material I found all that interesting. I'll be honest. I would have gladly traded Lamasoft for Tetris Forever. In terms of reviewing Gold Master packages this year, but we never got Tetris Forever, and there's a behind-the-scenes reason for that. It's nothing sinister. It's just Digital Eclipse has switched PR people. And the new PR people are a lot more useless.
Oh, fun.
And it really isn't. I can't say who they are, because I've actually been working with them for a long time, and sometimes they come through, but not often. as opposed to the person who worked with Digital Eclipse previous to that, who is probably my favorite PR person. Doesn't send me a lot of stuff, but she's always reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, next up, let's see. I think something happened to Galax this week, since I don't see a game of his.
Yeah, I was gonna say, This Way Madness Lies ended up on my wish list, and I ended up getting it at some point. But I definitely remember not playing it, because this was one that was actually interesting to me.
Right. Rail Route was yours, Petty?
That was that one train game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I hated it, but it was definitely one of those ones in the it's okay category if you like X certain thing.
Let me just cross-tabulate here to make sure that something wasn't deleted. Now, Nightshade I remember. Another retro review. I remember it because it was a very memorable adventure game for the NES. I also remember lambasting it for not having a battery save feature. Once again, if you want full thoughts on these things, they are available in the actual reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see here. Nope. Yeah, Galax was. I think you were somewhere.
Yeah, I might have been sick or visiting family or something.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, next up.
I do miss a few shows every year, so.
Yeah. But you did have a review next time with Risky Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a run and gun platformer for Genesis.
This is another actually retro one, isn't it?
Yes.
I think I recall. I mean, it might just be most of these. I remember. It's a little bit hard to tell them apart, I think, but I think this might have been one of the ones that I thought was a little bit too memorization required.
Yeah. Possibly, Petty, your game was Red Princess.
That was that RPG, wasn't it?
I think so, yes. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. If you're looking for something new in the RPG genre, sure. It wasn't something I was looking for at the time. But it was an okay game. I think it was still early dev. I don't think it was out yet, was it?
I don't remember. Anyway, Akumi Wars, don't remember. I do remember Saboteur. Is what if Among Us was done in 3D polygons, and had 50 cents to its budget, and was utterly unplayable.
Oh yeah.
The week after that, Galax, you had Attack of the Karens,
which was a mechanically solid and had some interesting ideas side-scrolling shooter that was honestly kind of dragged down a bit by the whole Karen meme thing.
Yeah.
Penny, you had Loco Sword.
Barely even remember it. Was that one of the hidden object games, or?
No, I don't. No, I recognize one of those because they had the long titles. Yeah. Bring the Chickens Home. Not remembering this one. But I do remember the other game I reviewed this week, Zero Wing.
Which is a perfectly serviceable shooter of its time, that then had the entire legacy of the all your base meme bolted onto it.
Yep. And it's a legacy it can't escape, because every time this game is re-released, all your base is right there front and center. You know?
If it was edited out, there was a riot.
Well, even if they don't have the exact words, just if you were exposed to that meme in its heyday, you cannot look at the character design of cats without having the entire thing jump into your head. Also, the bad guy in the game is canonically just it's short for or it's an acronym for something, I assume. But his name and his organization is Cats.
Right. Moving on. Let's see, Gulix, your game was Warhammer 40,000 Daka Squadron.
I remember that. It was the Orc Flight Simulator. It was kind of janky, which I think some of it might have been intentional, but it was more than it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Petty, you had an early access game in Turbo Golf Racing.
What if what's that golf soccer game? Rocket League, but jankier.
Yeah, and let's see.
I remember wanting to play it with friends other than just like trying to play with randos online. So it's definitely one of those games.
Yeah. And let's see, the games I reviewed were Zorch, which was a very good boomer shooter, cheap to boot as well. Like, it's only $5. And Hexarchy, which is like a 4X board game, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, hexagonal board game affair.
Yeah, that one.
I really like this.
I know you liked it. I'm just never a fan of 4X strategy, so that's why I wasn't too big on it.
Right.
I have yet to find a 4X game that makes me want to like 4X games.
Anyway, next up, Gulix, your game was Morel's The Hunt 2.
Yes, I remember this one. It's the friggin' wildlife photography and mushroom hunting game that was very janky and hard to navigate. And like, in the ideal state of it, it would have been relaxing, but I was never quite comfortable with enough, and the timing, like the fact that you have to deal with a day-night cycle and you can get very lost easily.
Yeah. It's one of those ones I was waiting for the shoe to drop and it reveal itself to be a meme game type deals.
Let me see. The Undergarden. It was like an underwater game that wasn't that interesting.
It was like one of those it was saved from Xbox Live, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
The closed 360 store, rather.
Yeah. Hyperlight Drifter, which is one of the
very good game. Yes. Go play Hyperlight Drifter if you can, please.
Just make sure you don't have your headphones on too loud.
Yeah.
I think I played that as much as I played Morels because I just got sick of it.
Yeah. But it's definitely one of those, definitely a game you could look into list. I wouldn't say it's the best game we reviewed last year, but definitely worth looking at.
Let's see. Next up, Gulix, you had Pools.
I don't think I even have this in my Steam account. Or do I? Maybe I do.
I remember. It's the one where it's a liminal space game.
I remember doing the fucking backrooms, but only the water area
Yeah.
game, and not getting very far in it because you have to do some particular things to progress. And again, I'm too busy trying to, because it's a first-person game with a weird environment, I'm too busy trying to mentally map the fucking area to actually progress.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I mean, it seemed serviceable for what it is, but
Another one of the
what
fine
it
with
is to
friends
me is
list.
really
Like,
a game.
I remember us joking this would be one of those things, like, if we ever got together and had some beers or whatever, it could be more enjoyable than just trying to go through it
There's some
alone.
spooky stuff that happens, but like, it's not even easy to find the spooky stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I ended up seeing some of that on I looked up a bit of footage for that after we were done. Like, oh, there's some interesting spooky stuff going on here. And then, life.
Right. Anyway, Petty, your game that week was Glay Lantern Gainu Classic Shmups Pack.
Oh, right. Yeah, that one for the Xbox.
Yes.
Those are pretty fun shmups.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's like, they're cool for their time, but like I wouldn't offer them to my niece or whatever who's like starting to get into gaming. It's definitely, you had to be from that era to enjoy them. They're not for new players.
Let's see. The games I reviewed this week were Delta Vector, Delta V.
Yeah, Delta V.
Delta V, yeah, change it.
Yeah, like it was
Philosophy.
an expansive flight space sim kind of game. It's all right. Yogurt Commercial 3, I still don't know what the fuck
that
this
one was a meme game. You can't tell me differently.
It was a meme game without the memes.
Exactly.
Like
it's basically the worst kind of meme game.
Yeah. Moving on. Alex, you probably remember this one, Shadow Madness.
The name didn't ring a bell, but upon looking it up, yeah, this is like a PlayStation era.
Yeah.
JRPG.
It's what if Final Fantasy, but done by the team that made Secret of Evermore.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was kind of decent, but had some issues.
Yeah.
But not surprisingly.
Yeah. And here we are, Montgomery Fox and the Case of the Missing Ballerinas. Here's one of those hidden object games that plagued us for so very long.
Yeah.
But no more.
Oh, are we free?
Well, they still release those, but the website that they sent them to me is no longer existing.
Praise the sun. We're free,
Believe
chat. We're free.
Yeah, believe me, I actually rejected some of them because they were just taking up so much oxygen.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, we felt that.
Yes. Let's see. Ario. No memories of this. Hexters, I do remember. It was an RTS game that was way too limited for its own good. Let's see. Next up, Abyss. Do you remember this game, Galax? Because I remember this game.
That was another one of those things that nearly made me retch on stream, wasn't it?
It was one of those games that was ported from the DSiWare. It was the underwater one.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Not that. I think I remember it a little bit.
You played as this like black eyeball thing, I think.
Yeah.
Like, Petty, your game was Goliath Depot.
No memories on that one.
Oh yeah, that I was trying to look. I'm trying to look these up a little bit ahead just so I can think. But man, yes, I remember Abyss now. There are like 4 games called Abyss on Steam.
Yes.
At least.
The games I covered were Plungeroo. I remember this, if only because we did an interview with the dev around that time. In fact, he gifted us the game. It was like it was all right. And the other one, Content Warning. I remember this game.
Yeah, it was the one that was given out free. That's one of those explore around procedurally generated things.
Right, and that's genetically engineered for streaming.
Yes.
Let's see. Moving on. Up next, Galaxy, you had Gravity Badgers. I remember this.
Yeah, I remember it being a pain.
I guess. Like, Petty, your game was...
Gravity Badgers, it didn't hold, like, there were some interesting things, but, like, the whole Badger thing was completely irrelevant to it, and the controls were kind of pretty janky.
Was it the controls or the physics?
Probably both.
Yeah.
Like, Petty, your game was Umuragi Generation. That was the photography game.
Oh, yeah, the one that was Jet Set Radio, but photography.
Yes.
It was fine, but I imagine it needed to play the other games to really respect that one.
I guess. Like, I think it had a standalone spinoff, but that was it. I don't know. I don't know the lineage. Topak Battles. I remember, like, it was a Pokemon ripoff, and that's about it. I do remember Wizardry Proving Ground to the Mad Overlord, Digital Eclipse's 3D remake of Wizardry 1. I'll be honest, some friends of mine are much bigger fans of this than I was, if only because I didn't get into... I was never into Wizardry. And also, dungeon crawlers have never been my favorite flavor of RPG.
Especially old dungeon crawlers.
Yep. And this one is hard as fuck.
I was about to say, this is about as old as you can get.
Yes. Anyway, Galax, next up yours was Legends of Dionysus. Which did eventually get released.
Yeah, I wonder if they changed any of the things that needed to be changed.
Probably not.
Yeah, no, that was just it's a glorified beat 'em up.
Petty,
and
your
not
game...
even that glorified.
Right.
Glorified without the glory.
Yeah. Petty, yours was 99 Moves.
It was meh. I didn't hate it, but I also grew tired of it quickly.
Yeah. It had an interesting idea behind it.
Like, it's definitely interesting concept, but unfortunate execution.
Yeah. Tell me your story. I'm blanking on this one. Like, nope.
I was wondering if that was one of those visual novel ones, but I could be wrong.
I have no memory. A Fistful of Gun. I do remember this. It was all right. I kind of like the pixel art style. That's about it. Alex, next up you had Volgar the Viking.
I remember that. Trying to be... Wasn't that the one that's not actually old, was retro style?
Yeah.
It's that classic Adult Swim game that got saved when Adult Swim games went belly up.
had a lot of the same issues that games of the era it's trying to imitate do, though.
Mm-hmm.
Not very forgiving.
Petty, your game was Aquascapers.
It was meh. It was one of those ones where you just kind of move around in a physics world like morel hunters and build aquatic topiary, basically.
Let's see. The games I had were Seven Doors. I kind of remember this one. I didn't really like it. Zool Redimensioned. I very much remember this, and I've been waiting for this one because pound for pound, Zool Redimensioned is my all-time favorite review that I've done for this program. And that's mainly because I got to walk down memory lane and punch the forgotten 90s mascots in the face, metaphorically. So many animals.
Repressed memories being finally dealt with. It's fun.
And those memories are being much less repressed because these mascots are coming back.
I'm aware. What hell pit were they leaked from, and how do we send them back?
Various ones. Like, the next one that's crawling out of its rock is Croc. Remember Croc?
Yes! The one that would have been a Yoshi's Island game, if I recall correctly, but Nintendo did not give the green light.
Yes. That's getting a remastering.
Welcome back from hell, little buddy.
Yeah. Once again, if you want to hear our thoughts on, a lot of forgotten 90s mascots, just listen to that one. That was cathartic.
I imagine we'll be going into it again if we're able to get a hold of Croc.
Indeed. Anyway, next up, Galax, you had Dark Envoy Director's Cut.
The name does not super ring a bell, but yeah, okay, yeah.
Trust me, I know that feeling.
Cared for this one that much.
We all know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Betty, you had Just Axe.
I don't even remember that one.
Likewise, I'm blanking on Logic Town. I remember Darts Up.
Yeah, that was that darts game that we were like, bro, there are free ones on your phone you can get.
Right. Let's see. Next week, it was Galaxy. You had Venatrix.
All I remember about this one offhand was you had a discussion about, I remember this one now. It was interesting, but it had some issues in the fact that you only had to, like, 2 different characters to play as, but it feels like neither one of them was totally complete.
Let's see. I remember 3x64 being like a falling blocks kind of game with addition.
Yeah.
Perfect Dice, I don't remember.
Perfect what?
Perfect Dice.
Yeah, no.
Quite a few memorable games in this week. Galax, you had the Riven remake.
Yeah, which was... I did better in that than I ever did in Myst as a kid.
We had me go off again.
Congratulations, Adult Brain. Hetty, you had impressions for Crystalla. That's the Dark Souls-like game where you played as a cat.
Yeah, the cat Dark Souls. That was a game.
Let's see. I don't remember Neural Shock. But I do remember Carrion. What if Metroid, but you played as a pulsating mass of
Right,
flesh?
yes.
Yeah.
I
Very
remember,
memorable.
I remember being interested in after the demo on that one.
Let me see. Next up, Petty, you had The Mermaid of Zenor, which was a visual novel, if I'm remembering correctly.
No, I had that one.
Yeah, go, let's have
Sorry,
that one.
Collins. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another one. Again, I actually remember those because it was kind of pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was the like main character had, like, identity issues or whatever.
Mhm.
Like self-identity, not like Jason Bourne, who am I?
Uh-huh.
Right. Let's see. Petty, your game was Consortium Remastered.
That was the one that was voice activated, right?
Yeah. That was the FPS on a plane.
Yeah, that was conceptually cool. My problem with it is it didn't take a tone into account, which understandable, but stuff I thought would be fine ended up being problematic. That's why I kind of got frustrated with it. But that's more of just limitations with current technology.
Right. Let's see. Wastelander. I remember this being like a strategy game where you were on like a desert planet, maybe Mars, and you had to tunnel for resources, something like that.
Yeah.
It was okay. I primarily remember the other game we reviewed, or I reviewed, Ghost 1.0.
Yeah.
Which was a very, it was a very memorable Metroidvania title.
Right, yeah.
Once again, I'd suggest checking out the full review for more details there. And I think this is going to be the last week we covered this week. We'll go over part 2 next week.
Yeah, next week is part of the topic because we are running out of time.
Yes, and we have a guest for MSP. So anyway, Galax, your game was Lifeless Moon.
I think I remember that one. Yeah, that one was weird.
Petty, your game was Electrovolt 2. I think it was some sort of puzzle game.
Yeah, I think it was a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Or no, it was like an old school platforming puzzle game. Yeah, like for the Commodore.
Yeah, something like that. Speaking of which, Mango Mischief, which was one of these retro revival JRPG things. I'm like, I want to say it was using RPG Maker, but I don't remember offhand. But it at least looked like it. It's fine for being a dollar game. And the other one, Nyx Quest, Kindred Spirits. I remember this one because this was a refugee from the WiiWare platform. It was awkwardly translated to the PC. Because, it being not just a WiiWare game, but an early WiiWare title, we had to get that Wii waggle into the gameplay. The wind. No, that was Lost Wind. Anyway, and I think we'll conclude here for the time being. But we will revisit this next week. But in the meantime, that will bring this episode of Fragments of Silicon to a close. So, coming up on the week ahead, we do have a new episode of MSP happening in, let's say, 30 to 45 minutes, because Mac has confirmed he will be joining us. So, good news there. Anyway, coming up on Friday, January 10th, we'll be having Lukant Rosinski of Vazaroff Game Studios. They are the makers of Bee Simulator, and we'll be talking about their upcoming project, Barkor. Barkor is an action stealth game where you take on the role of a tail-wagging canine 009 agent working for a secret organization that fights against evil in a world that does not take itself too seriously. I still think that 009 reference is shit. Like,
And again, backwards. I'm pretty sure the lower numbers are better.
Yeah. Anyway, game reviews. On the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of Nazar, Tectonica, Wonderball, and impressions of Lucky Tower Ultimate. So, until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.